How about now?
There you
It's
go.
better when you plug it in, huh? It's better when you plug it in. Michael Folks,
Can't
welcome
hear you.
to the
Let's
show.
see.
Here we go.
There we go.
Hey,
Hey.
I'm way better when I plug in.
Yeah, me too. I'm much better when I turn shit on.
Oh my God. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We got Promar Ahi USA Tuesday. We're talking Justin Bottrell, Michael Folks, history of sport fishing. And Justin was out fishing tuna yesterday, Michael.
Really? How'd you do, Justin?
Tough. We got one.
Good.
Hey, you didn't
No
get skunked,
skunk.
right?
Nope, no skunk.
All right.
So we've only gotten skunked so far one time this year on tuna. Thank goodness.
Nice
yeah.
job, sir.
But I admit it, we got skunked one time this year.
Yeah, well, that's I think I was 0 for 10 when I was bluefish chasing those bluefin last couple of years ago.
Right.
When this bluefin first came around, and when was it? Like 4 or 5, but 8 years ago now? 10 years ago now?
Oh, it's longer than that. It's been almost, it's been like 10 or 15.
Oh, it took me 2 years to actually kind of figure it out and get my first bite.
Yeah.
For these bluefin, so.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because I was feeling like a complete buffoon. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a pain in the butt.
Yep. They are tough.
Yeah. So in a little while, I'm going to tell a very interesting thing that happened to me yesterday. Well, it didn't happen to me, but I heard.
Okay.
So, but I'll let Dave continue on with whatever he's going to talk about, and it's going to blow everyone's mind, even yours.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty amazing. I got a little inside info on the story, but gang, we got all kinds of great things coming up. We got War Heroes on Water. I'm leaving tomorrow morning to fly up to Southern California, and we're going to be going War Heroes on Water starting on the 20th, which is Saturday. And we'll do the parade in Newport Harbor starting about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Saturday afternoon, coming out of the harbor. And then going fishing for a couple days with the War Heroes, and then back at the dock on the 23rd for the big banquet at well, we won't say where because it's closed to the public, but we got all kinds of cool stuff. I'm super excited to meet my new vets this year and take them fishing. And Justin's going this year, Michael. He's going to be out there fishing.
You guys going to fish together?
He's going to be on a Viking, and I'm going to be on a Michelson.
Sweet.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be
it's such a great event.
It's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't wait. Our whole crew, we can't wait. It's really exciting.
Yeah, it's just doing such good stuff for so many people.
Yeah.
It's just given from your heart.
And then I got all these new shirts from my buddy Kenny Maynard. He sent me a bunch of monkey shirts, banana monkey shirts, all kinds of monkey shirts. Right, Marley? Marley Marr. He is right here, right next to he's got a new little cat stand.
Oh, yeah, you got a kitty?
Huh?
You got a new kitty?
No, I got a new cat stand for the monk.
Oh.
He's hanging out on it right now, right here.
Cool.
But we got all kinds of great things going on. But as we move into this show today, I want to tell you Promar is really pushing the point to make sure that you guys are ready for lobster season. We want to make sure everybody gets all the proper stuff for lobster season. What's a few of the things that you can think of that we got to have, Justin?
Well, you have to have, by law, a landing net on your boat, which is 18 inches or bigger. And you also have to have, these are things that you have to have on your boat. The rest of it, you don't have to have. That means you don't even go fishing. So the other thing you have to have is a descending device if you're fishing for rockfish. Promar makes all of this stuff. You also have to have, if you're going for a lobster, which lobster starts in 2 weeks, you have to have a measuring device for lobster. And what's really cool about that is Promar makes the exact one that Fish and Wildlife uses on them when they board your boat.
So it's kind of important, right? Like what you would say, you got to have a few extra gauges too. So it's not a bad thing that if you carry 6 people on your boat to have 6 gauges put in a spot that you never touch, and then have 1 or 2 that you use all the time, right?
Yep, absolutely. Always have spares of everything, even your landing net, because what if for some odd reason you rip your landing net? Then it's no good. And then what if while you're out there catching lobsters or you're just fishing, you throw a line in the water and you catch that 20 or 30 pound halibut that you're not going to just land with your hand. You need something to land it with. So you need that landing net no matter what. But I carry a ton of, as I showed everyone before, a ton of lobster gauges. I have a whole bushel basket full of them in this bag. So you always have to be prepared, always. One thing that I see a lot, and I go through them every year, and I see other people do on their boat. When you're a member of Your Saltwater Guide, you get all these lobster spots. With those lobster spots, you're going to be catching a lot of lobsters. So that being said, if you don't attach this to something and you're measuring the lobsters and you're throwing the lobsters over, eventually, after going through all those lobsters, you're going to end up throwing your gauge over. So if you don't have a spare gauge and you get pulled over,
You're screwed.
you're going to be in trouble.
Yep.
So.
And every single person that's engaged in the act of lobster fishing on your boat, even though we won't use but one, they all have to have one on the boat. There has to be as many people as there is, or has to be as many lobster gauges as there are people.
Yep. I like to attach mine to these little clips. It has like a little stretchy, slinky thing.
Right.
That's just what I like to do with mine, but not all of them are like that. Otherwise, these slinkies are going to be all over the place on the boat. The thing is also with these gauges that we've seen actually last season is when you throw them around and say you throw a hoop net on your boat and this is sitting kind of diagonal on your boat on your deck and your hoop net hits it, it's going to bend. If you try to bend it back, that measurement isn't going to be exact. So you're going to need a new gauge. Okay, trust me on that, because you're going to start measuring lobsters that are clickers and click it and tick it. If you get a clicker and you have a regular gauge, this will tell you the true size of that lobster. So make sure you have extra gauges for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And this year, especially compared to all the years in the past, they're very, very, very cautious. They're very, I don't even remember what's the word I'm looking for. They're very proud of their lobsters. So if you happen to keep a short lobster, you're going to get caught. I don't care who you are. You're going to get caught. And the Fish and Wildlife wants us to let you know. And they're going to be on Let's Talk Hookup this coming weekend. And they're going to probably come on our show eventually. As soon as they want to be seen by a lot of people, they'll come on our show. But they want to make sure that we know that they're going to be out in force this year, especially because all the NGOs have lost all their financing. So this year, they're going to need as much money as they possibly can get. So they're going to be out in massive force this season. So if you think you can get away with a short lobster, I got news for you. You got another thing coming.
Yeah, you do. And it is true that the first 2 weeks of lobster season is when Fish and Wildlife make a lot of money.
Oh, baby.
A lot of money.
Did you ever do it on your boat, Michael?
Oh, we did all the time in Avalon.
Yeah, in Avalon, huh?
Never left the mooring.
Never left the mooring.
Yeah, 246, you're right up there in the corner by all the jetties. So they just come crawling out at night and you just watch them with the flashlight. You go, oh, here you go.
Here you go. Kim, you want a lobster for dinner?
It was pretty fun.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So, Justin, what the hell would the fishing game guy tell you yesterday?
Okay, so first off, we didn't get pulled over. Here's the story. We were sitting at the fuel dock, and Anthony, we're getting fuel before we left. Anthony was talking to one commercial guy. He's like, hey, what are you going out for today? And he's like, oh, we're going to go catch sea urchin. And as I'm walking down the dock, I heard him talking. I'm like, oh, that's great. Go kill them all. So that's just my thought of it, because they eat all the kelp. So right after that guy leaves, the commercial guy, another boat pulls up and he has big old fish and wildlife stickers all over his boat. It says carb something or another, big number on it. And Anthony starts talking to him. And I'm pump and feel, doing my thing, and I hear him say, "Oh, what are you going to go out and do?" As soon as I heard this, it got my attention. He said, "I'm going to go and survey sand bass."
Ooh.
Oh, what?
What?
Oh, what was that? What did you say? So I'm sitting over in the corner kind of listening, and this guy, he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to go dive down in the reef right outside the harbor and survey the sand bass out here." So now I'm thinking, what? Like, that doesn't even make sense. The sand bass have already moved on. They've already migrated here. Now they're migrating somewhere else. So that's what I'm thinking in my head. And a million things are now going through my brain. I want to know what else he has. And I'm hoping Anthony asks more questions. And of course, Anthony, being Anthony, he asked more questions. "Oh, well, how do you do that?" And it wasn't a fish and wildlife guy either. It's just some dude. And he's like, "Oh, this is going to blow your mind. Are you ready? We're going to go down to the reef right outside of San Pedro Harbor. Take a tape measure. Open it to 10 feet long. Put it down on the bottom. We're going to count how many sand bass are in that 10 feet. And then that's how we come up with our number." I said, "What?
What are they talking about?
What?" All right. I had some choice words, but I'm not going to say it on here. And yeah, it got me pretty pissed. I probably turned bright red. So yeah, that's how they're surveying a sand bass, everybody. Congratulations.
They're taking, and these guys have been hired by.
He pulled out a tape measure. We're taking the tape measure. We're pulling it out to 10 feet. We're going down to the reef right outside the harbor right here. We're going to put it on the ground. However many sand bass we count in that 10 feet, that's how we get our survey done. Well, what if there's no sand bass there?
They've already migrated.
Sand bass anywhere? Like, what the hell are you doing? Almost not even that. Why didn't you do this 3 or 4 or 5 months ago when there's a million sand bass here? And then why didn't you go out to Huntington Flats where the sand bass were, not on the reef? I probably almost got arrested, but yeah.
Really? Were you talking to a Fish and Game guy, or was this some random guy that had been hired by Fish and Game to do the survey?
Some random guy.
Yeah. He was hired by Fish and Game to do a survey, or by someone.
Yeah, he was in a boat, like a grayish color boat that has like Fish and Game stickers all over it.
Right.
If he was a Fish and Game officer, they're hiring anybody. He was the size of 2 bull sea lions, and he was, I don't know even how he got down there, but that's for another story. I don't know. He drove a boat that it had carb on it and these numbers and this and that and fish wildlife stickers all over the place, and it looked like he meant business.
Yeah, he really sounds like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
The future of the sand bass fisheries in his hands.
Yeah.
Our future.
That's what I mean. Yeah, all of our sand bass fishing is in this guy's hands.
Yep.
But it's amazing that is how the fish. I'm sure the guy didn't come up with this idea on his own. Someone told him this is how you do a survey.
Well, this is how we want it done, so we'll show no fish so we can shut them down next year.
Right.
Yeah. Our survey says there was no fish at the prime time of the season. No, it was the end of the season. The stuff was already left, and they don't conjugate around a reef anyway.
Not sand bass.
Nope, idiots.
Yeah. Blew my mind. He said, his exact words, "Oh, I'm going to go right outside the harbor right here at the reef, right outside the harbor. And what we're going to do is dive down to the bottom, put down this tape measure, 10 feet, and we're going to count if there's any sand bass in between that 10 feet.
That is pretty sad.
What? Sand bass never go higher than 3 fathoms. I mean, they never come up off the bottom, ever.
No.
They live there, right?
No.
No.
Very rarely.
No, I didn't think so.
Very rarely.
Imagine if they did that survey for every fish out there.
Yeah, 10 feet.
Yeah, 10 feet.
Yeah, the pelagics, we're just going to hold it 10 feet under the water and see what's in that top 10 foot of the water column.
Yeah, right.
Survey.
Well, you think about that, and it kind of goes in line with what we're being taught that these surveys aren't even real. These surveys aren't even, they're done through, I don't even know. They're not even real. It's just so wild to think about it.
Yeah.
It's like the Russia hoax, completely contrived.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's freaking craziness. And to think, this guy's probably making like 200,000 a year to go out there, and he's probably not even counting anything, just sitting there. I mean, I don't know.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's beyond.
Your tax dollars are going to pay this person to go out there and hopefully find sand bass within 10 feet of a reef on the tape measure.
Yeah, 15 feet from the jetty, from the entrance to the harbor. Hey, yeah. You didn't happen to get a picture of his California fishing game numbers, did you, on the side of his boat?
No, it said carb something. I could probably look it up. I've seen his boat many times. I thought he was a commercial guy.
Huh.
He contracts through Fish and Wildlife. I could definitely get it one day. I'll look it up right now.
I was just curious. It's just, man.
There you go. We can almost see you there, Michael. It was close.
Better? Is that better?
Yeah, a little bit of light on the subject. You're dark today. You're dark.
I feel like the light's glaring in my eyes. So
really?
Yeah.
Because it's not even, I don't know. It's
really
strange. It's very, very, very dark.
Well, hang on. Let me switch on another light and see if that makes any difference.
So there you go. That's more better. Yeah. That's more better. So what's going on with your film? What's going on with the history of sport fishing?
Well, the distributors have it. Everything's been approved. They submitted it to all the streaming services across the board, starting with Netflix and going all the way down to the airlines. So they're saying it's probably going to take between 90 and 120 days for these various streaming services to screen the series and then decide whether or not they want to take it. But we did. I think we're signing a deal, or we may have signed a deal yesterday with a big Canadian group called Stingray, and they're starting a new channel, a free streaming channel. So it's like a linear TV channel where it's like old school TV, whatever's on during that time slot, that's what you get to watch. You don't get to select your shows. So it's called free streaming, and they've had a couple of big successes with Pamela Anderson on a series and a 360 surf thing or something. So they're excited about having our show part of that series. That launches on January 1st, I think. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's coming. I mean, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more exposure for the series over the next 90 to 150 days. Fingers crossed.
Keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully everything works out, because everybody deserves to see this.
Well, it's interesting. The people that do see it, we've gotten great comments, and a lot of people leave really nice, are posting really nice testimonials. So the guys that are watching it seem to really enjoy it. Nobody's come back to me and said it sucks. You should kill yourself and get a day job.
Well, thank God.
Yeah. So I think we're going to be all right. Fingers crossed. It's coming. It's coming.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about the history of sport fishing, which is a 12-part docuseries created by Michael Folks, and he's had a plethora of people help him put this thing together. But one lady,
Tammy,
is very, 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 very involved in this whole series. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, it's really interesting. This young lady by the name of Tammy Evaton, 5 years ago when I first started the series, we were posting some stuff up on our website, Inside Sport Fishing, about it. And she happened to see it, and she called me she emailed me out of the blue and said, "Hey, my dad's got some old fishing photographs from the 1930s and 40s. He was a chief photographer for the Miami Herald. And so I've got boxes and boxes of 4 glass negatives, 4x5 negatives that he shot that have never been seen." and there might be some pictures in there that you could possibly use. And I said, yeah, Tammy, I'd love to see them. So she sent me a half a dozen pictures or something, and I was blown away at the quality of the shots. I mean, they were just amazing. Her dad was a phenomenal photographer. In fact, he was the guy that shot that one iconic picture of the men on the beam. Overlooking Rockefeller Plaza. The guy sitting on the beam having lunch. So that was his photographer. That was his work. So she ended up sending me some stuff. We started talking. We kept going back and forth, and one thing led to the next. And the next thing you know, she's my work wife. So we pretty much partnered up on this thing for the whole last 4 years, and it would not be anywhere close to what it is and how it turned out without her. Her research was beyond impeccable. Neither one of us are really, we fly fished before, but neither one of us were good fly fishermen. We didn't really know much about the sport. And so the research on fly fishing was phenomenal. And then we got Dr. Terry Battisti. He used to be a West Coast guy, moved back east. He's a geoscience rocket engineer for NASA or something. I mean, the guy's a brainiac. But he's forgotten more about bass fishing than either one of us will ever know. So we brought Terry on board to do the bass. And between Terry and Tammy and I, and you and some of the other guys that we were able to interview, I think we pretty much covered the sport from crappie to the biggest game fish in the world, PEI and everything else. So I feel really good. Tammy was amazing, great person to work with, has more integrity than anybody I'd ever dealt with. She was just a champion. She was a champion through the whole thing.
Yeah, the thing, I learned a lot watching this, but what I didn't understand was largemouth bass. They were like garbage fish. Nobody really wanted them, man. Because, coming from where I'm coming from, I'm saltwater.
Right.
And then you find out that the people didn't really fish for largemouth bass. That was kind of just the fish that was thrown in the lakes and the streams to kind of keep everything clean. But they wanted a trout. That's what they wanted. They wanted a trout.
Trout was the pinnacle species back in the day. There's no question. And, because all the fly fishermen from the European countries, that's what they fished for, was trout. And there was really two groups of fish back in the day. There's called prized game fish, which were trout. And then everything else was a coarse fish. They called coarse fish they were just coarse fish. They were like poor man's fish. They didn't taste very well. They were in stagnant water a lot of the time. They weren't flowing through clean streams. Bass had a really, really bad reputation. And then, along comes Ray Scott in the 1960s and says, wait a minute. Why aren't bass getting their due, getting their fair shake? So Ray Scott sort of really turned the corner on bass fishing when he started BASS. And that whole story is in the film. We got an interview with Ray before he passed away. And he tells how he came up with the idea, first person singular. And it's just a fascinating story. I'm not going to spoiler alert it for you, but it was pretty cool how he came up with the idea. And then what it took for him to take that concept that he had and actually create a tournament that had never been done before. So it's a pretty cool story about how, competitive bass fishing was started by the man that started it. And Ken Duke did the interview, and he said Ray Scott probably had more influence on the sport of bass fishing and the sport of fishing in general than any 100, 200,000 other people combined. He was the man. What he created is still a legacy and living today.
Right. I mean, it's hard to imagine, Justin, that people didn't fish for largemouth bass. And when you find out how this whole thing started, it is absolutely amazing. I'm so glad that I got to see this and I got to witness all the different things that you touch on. The other thing is tarpon. I didn't know tarpon were such a value. What?
Oh man, jumping a tarpon, that's as exciting as getting bit on a popper. Or getting bit on a wahoo bomb or something. I mean, it's just that tarpon, when it bites, it explodes out of the water. And people don't talk about how many did you catch. They said, how many have you jumped? How many tarpon did you jump today? Oh, we jumped 8. So it means you had eight jumps and 8 different fish. And they're spectacular. They're 200, 300-pound fish that are in, 15 feet of water right off the beach. And they look like dinosaurs. I mean, their scales are about this big around and thick, and their gill plates are so sharp you can cut your fluorocarbon with it, or Spectra, whatever. I mean, you can actually cut your line with the side of their gill plate. They're so sharp. But tarpon back in the 1800s, that was actually the first big game fish that was ever captured on a rod and reel, which was taken on a conventional bass gear that they'd been using for catching striped bass. They'd gone from freshwater bass to trying to catch some salters or striped bass in the ocean. And these guys down in Florida were trying to catch tarpon on these little bass reels with no drags or anything else. And the first big tarpon, I think, was taken like in 1886, somewhere in that neighborhood. And that really started it, because nobody thought in anybody's imagination that a fish over 100 pounds could ever be caught with a rod and reel. So a tarpon was the first big game fish ever landed on a rod and reel. And then Holder and those guys out here on the West Coast heard about it and said, wait a minute, we got some stuff going on here at Catalina Island that needs some looking at. So the first tuna was taken, the first large tuna over 100 pounds was taken in 1896 by Charles Frederick Holder. And then he started the Tuna Club in 1898. And then 3 or 4 years later, the first marlin ever captured on a rod and reel was taken out of Avalon. And then a few years later, the first broadbill swordfish. So first tuna, first marlin, and first swordfish ever caught in the world, anywhere on a rod and reel, were taken off Catalina.
And could you imagine, Justin, back in the day without a drag, no drag system, they were using a leather
strap that was on there, and you had to press it down at a certain tension.
And the reels didn't have there was no neutral, so the handle on the reel would spin backwards when it got bit. So you're winding it in this way, and when the fish runs, that reel would spin backwards. And the Tuna Club actually had a surgeon on call during the season to bandage up and repair all these broken fingers from guys coming in with getting their knuckle busters just maul their hand.
I wonder where they actually. So if you think before that, and you. When they first originally made a reel, before there was any drag or before they put that leather patch on it, I wonder how they came up with the idea to put that leather patch on. Was it because people kept putting their thumb on the reel trying to stop it every time? Like they do now too?
No skin left on your thumb. So it's like, let's figure out some other way to do it besides burn through our skin. Gloves would work, because a glove would just burn through a glove in a heartbeat.
I wonder if someone took maybe their belt. They had a leather belt back then, so they took their leather belt and they put it on there. Oh, that works perfect. So let's just attach this to the reel, and we can use that as a stopper.
Yep.
Well, what blows me away is they came up with the drag system over about 100 years ago, but there's still guys that are using their thumb today.
That's where I was getting at. It's just still
use it today.
Back when, using their thumb.
Yep. 100 years later, we're still doing this.
Oh my God, it blows my freaking mind. And they go, but I know how much pressure to put. How do you know how much pressure to put on?
Because when my thumb starts bleeding, I'm putting too much pressure on.
Right. It's amazing to me. And for those of you that are listening that have been fishing with me before, and I yell at you all the time, it's because a guy spent millions of dollars inventing the drag system so you don't have to use your thumb anymore. But lo and behold, they all have to use their thumbs still to this day. I see it all the time on these fishing shows, Michael. I swear to God, I'm watching a lot of fishing shows right now, and I'm like blown away at how many people are making the people that make the show put their thumb on the spool, or they hold the reel instead of putting your hand in front of the reel. They hold the reel. I'm like, oh my God, why are you teaching such a effed up thing? It just blows my mind, gang. People that hold the reel when they're fishing, it just blows my mind, right?
I always thought it looked cool to hold your reel.
Right. You know what looks cool? Catching the fish.
Exactly. I was going to say. Let the reel do what it was built to do.
And besides, if you're holding the reel when you're fighting, you're pulling up on the reel when you're fighting the fish. It's like, dude, you have no
leverage.
No leverage. Also, you're not guiding the line, so you're piling it up in a big pile. And These guys think they look so cool.
That's what I thought.
They look so cool. I'm like, you look retarded. You look dumb, man. You don't look like you know what you're doing.
That's the truth.
It all comes down to being taught. Like Jeff said earlier, it's what you're taught is what
how you're taught and what you're taught.
Yep, of what reflects on what you do later.
Yep.
So,
and then the other thing that blows my mind is so many people around the world want to say they invented kite fishing. But one man, you and I talk about it every time we do this show. We talk about, and there's a bank named after the guy. Go ahead, talk about it.
Yep. One guy, one boatman. They were called boatmen back in the day rather than guides and captains. So the boatman was named, you might have heard of this guy, George Farnsworth. And he came up with the kite in about 1909. And for 2 years, he was the top boatman in Avalon. He caught more fish than any other boat in the entire fleet. And nobody could figure out how he was doing it. He'd sneak out in the morning. He'd go around on the backside. He had that little bank that got named after him called the Farnsworth Bank. And he invented the kite. And on July 4th, 1911, he flew the kite through Avalon, announcing to the world that this is how he'd been doing it for the last 2 years. And that's where the kites were invented. And then Tommy Gifford from the East Coast had come out and was fishing out here in the mid 1920s and took the kite back east and introduced the kite to the East Coast fisheries. And that's where a lot of the rumors came from that the kite was invented on the East Coast, but it's not. It was invented by George Farnsworth out here on the West Coast in 1909.
That is really cool. Is there any documentation or anything of his exact setup and how he was, because everything changes over the years and stuff. I want to know like what his exact setup was, because that would be cool to go and do his exact setup and go and catch one of these big fish.
We actually have diagrams and an original Farnsworth kite that Michael Ferrier had collected. So we've got pictures of the original Farnsworth kite and diagrams of how they rigged it to, what they were doing. It's all a one-line deal. They weren't flying it off the two different lines. So it was interesting. But
that would be really cool to see.
That's cool.
But want to recreate exactly how he did it and see how it is compared to today. Because what if it's better than what we're doing today? We just made it more complicated.
I don't know. The way we're doing it today is pretty damn efficient, especially if we're running and gunning, on these fish and moving a lot. So it's I can't imagine doing a single kite rig deal, but it's pretty cool.
And Justin, you still have an opportunity to go to the tuna club. Maybe Michael will take you one day or somebody will take you into the tuna club. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed in there anymore, but
you've been banned for life.
I'm banned for life.
What did you do exactly?
What?
What did you do exactly?
Oh, I made a phenomenal speech in the tuna club one day.
Oh, lovely.
But we won't talk about that. But there was a time where I was allowed in there, and I was blown away.
That was before you,
If you go into the room there, the fishing room, and see all the stuff, it is absolutely incredible to just stand in the right, Michael. When you stand inside the Avalon Tuna Club, you can feel it. You feel it.
It's a wooden building. It's wooden frame, wooden building, wooden pylons, the whole deal. So that wood just retains, it's like a wooden boat. So there's something about a wooden boat that just retains a sense of soul. The experiences that boats had over its years, you can almost feel it when you step on a boat. And the same thing like with the Avalon Tuna Club, we fished up in Alaska at a place called Waterfall Resort, which was a converted 100-year-old cannery. And you walk along that cannery, you walk along the boardwalk, and you go into those old rooms, the same rooms that they had when the cannery workers were there. You just feel the history emanating from the building. And it's the same thing with the Tuna Club. When you walk into the Tuna Club, you just feel, because it's a sacred building.
Almost hair up on the back of your neck, huh? When you walk.
Oh yeah, it's just it is. It's just the first time I walked in there, I just almost collapsed. My legs were just. I was just blown away. And just the walls and the pictures and the photographs and the reels and the rods and the gear and the leaders and the gaffs and just everything they have in the history of that tuna club is just resonant. And it's a living, breathing organism. I mean, that tuna club has a life of its own. It's just like a boat. To me, a boat is a living being. You know, it's made up of wood and metal and stainless and fiberglass and everything else, aluminum, whatever you want to put on. But it's still as a whole, there's an energy in a boat that is deniable. And with the tuna club. What?
Let me tell you something else, Lisa.
Yeah, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
You're not allowed in there, Lisa.
Oh, that's right. No women. No, they do. They've got a whole section now.
No, they have a section, called the Woman's Annex out in the back. They built you guys your own building because but you know what? You're not allowed in the original building.
You can go in with a member.
A woman can?
Yes, they can go in.
Okay.
With a member. They have to have their shoulders covered. They can't have a skirt on. I mean, it's just the dress code is off the limits. I mean, it's like 1920s etiquette, and but there is a restricted area that cannot go upstairs where the bedrooms are. No women are allowed upstairs.
Wait, well,
now, that's the official motto.
There's been some women. Well, there's been some ladies up in the
I've heard some stories.
Some stories.
I've heard some stories.
But I'll tell you what, when you sit down inside that building and you just sit down, Justin, when you go in there for the first time, you just sit and you just look around. And I swear to God, you can hear the old stories. You can hear you hear the chairs talking to you, you know, you're just in there. And if you have any sense of what's going on around you, as most fishermen do, because we're totally into fishing, you totally get it. You get it. So, because Winston Churchill and Ted Williams and God, there's just so many people that have just sat inside that building and told stories and sipped on the whiskey or sipped on their bourbon and just told the story of the day of out fishing. It's just amazing to be in there.
Yep, they got a little poker room over to the side, so guys used to go in there and play cards and poker. You know, it's all the velvet tops and wooden tables. It's just such an amazing. They got the big tote board up on the wall, so you know every year they register all the fish that are captured. You know, it's a living history of the sport.
So when are we going on Monday?
Yeah, on Monday. You want to go over?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay.
We'll be there on Monday night. That's
right. You guys are going to be there for the tournament
for the War Heroes, and that's kind of that had a lot to do with us not coming back in.
That was the post-tournament banquet.
We were there for I'm not allowed to speak anymore. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Well, who gave you a microphone? There's one thing on a serious note. The manager of the club, his name's John Towski. He's been managing the club for at least the last 20, maybe 25 years. And he's not doing so well health-wise. So if anybody wants to send out a prayer or a good thought to John Towski, I know he's feeling it. He's at the hospital there in Avalon. And
okay.
I'm taking over as manager. But, send out some good thoughts to a gentleman that was instrumental in keeping me in the club and then helping me to get the history of sport fishing started. So John Towski, my warmest prayers and good thoughts for a recovery there, sir.
Yeah, John, we're all thinking about you right now for sure.
Yeah.
So how cool was it to get a qualifying fish to be a member of the tuna club, Michael?
Oh my God, I lost it. That's the year before. They have all these rules and regulations. The leader has to be less than 15 feet. You have to have the leader in your hand when you release the fish. Nobody else can touch the fish. Nobody else can touch your rod. The rod can't touch the rail. I mean, there's just so many. It's a pure sport. The ethics of the sport are refined to its finest tune. So you're really competing at the highest level against the fish. It's just you and the fish in a highly ethical battle. and I had a marlin off Laguna that we'd been, I dropped back a bait and ate it, and I only had about I think I was using maybe a 24-foot inch fluorocarbon top shot on top of the Dacron, because I was doing, baiting and switching on it, and I didn't want a big knot going through the guides because I thought I'd be flicking the bait out there. So anyway, long story short, got the fish into the boat. Absolutely spectacular. We had dolphin following the fish. We got great video of it, awesome pictures of it, and the fish was just right there. She was just puddling right behind the boat. She was done. I mean, she was just laying there. All I had to do is just reach out and I hadn't read the rule book, so she was done. We had all the pictures. I just tagged it, thumbed the drag, and let her swim away. So I popped her off without reaching down and touching the leader. So they disqualified the fish. They wouldn't qualify it as a caught fish because I didn't have the leader in my hand.
Oh my gosh!
I was so bent. I said, "Look, here are the photographs. This fish is right here. She's sitting right next to the swim stick. I could pet her." And instead of reaching down and grabbing the leader, and I just let her kick her tail and let it pop right out. And they said, "No, you've got to have the leader in your hand." So I was ready to quit. I was so bummed. I threw the rule book and Packy Allfield called me and said, "Listen, Michael, if it was easy, everyone would do it. Put on your big boy pants, shut up, and go catch a fish." So, and then John Towski told me the same thing. He said, "Listen, Michael, quit worrying about the rules, quit worrying about all this. Just go out and fish. Go out and have a good time. And if you happen to catch a fish, bring it in, let us weigh it, and we'll tell you what it's worth in terms of buttons and medallions and qualifiers." So that was sort of the turning point for me when I realized that I was making it way too serious. And then I did get my qualifier. It was a tuna on Dacron, or I can't remember what it was. I think qualifier was on linen. I qualified with a linen fish caught on board the Shogun, actually, over at Guadalupe Island. And it was the first tuna that caught at the Avalon Tuna Club on linen that qualified. It was a qualifying tuna. It had to be over 100 pounds. And it was the first qualifying tuna on linen line that had been captured in 65 years. So I felt really proud about that. And then, of course, the next year, Viper comes out and catches a 265-pounder, on the island, and just blows me out of the water. But it was pretty cool getting that qualifying fish because, you're a member, but you're not what they call a qualified boating member until you qualify with a fish over 100 pounds. So it was really good to become a qualified member. I was very, very proud of that.
Absolutely. You should be.
Yeah, it was. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And to think for a second, you don't remember what pound line or what it was on.
Well,
Stop it. You remember.
Well, I think I had two fish on that trip, and I had all my notes. I had Dacron, because you can qualify on a Dacron fish as well. So I had Dacron spooled up on modern gear, and then I had the linen stuff on the vintage gear. So, and I think I had 140 or 150 pound fish on the linen, on the Dacron on that trip as well. So it's been 10 years. My brain's starting to mush.
But think about this for a minute, gang. He caught it on antique gear. You guys think about this for a minute. Michael, explain to them this antique gear, because it's basically 1-to-1 on the gear ratio, right? It wasn't very much.
I'm not sure exactly. I don't think it's 1-to-1. I think it's like 2-to-1.
Okay.
Really tight ratio, but yeah, you're fishing on a pre-1952 reel. They don't care what model it is, as long as it was built before 1952, and a wooden rod or a hickory rod or a bamboo rod, and fishing with basically kite string. And linen is just basically a cotton type of string made out of linen, but you're fishing kite string on a wooden rod with a reel from 1950s or earlier, with no drag, with basically limited drag system. They did have star drags, that they were implementing with Bo Shen after he invented the star drag. So I had drag, and I had a thumb drag, and it took hours. Well, I was on that fish for probably 3.5 hours, and there's it was 24 thread linen. So basically, they take 3 threads. They take 3 threads of linen, and each thread has 8 strands to it. So they wrap 8 strands around one, 8 strands around another, and 8 strands. So the 8 times 3 makes 24, and each strand is about 2.5 pounds. So 24 times 3 is like 70 pounds, of test, close to it. And on the way up, after hours, one of the strands just parted. So I'm sitting there looking at the line. I see these 2 strands just sort of spinning freely. They were no longer connected. And I'm going, oh my God. So, there was a lot of stressful moments in that battle. And I'll never forget the end of it. I was up in the bow on the starboard side, and the fish came up like they do when they get really tired to the surface, and it started to peel out toward the stern, and it was angling back toward the boat. And I just said, this is it. I'm just holding my ground. I didn't chase the fish down the side of the boat. I just stood there, kept it tight, and pulled as hard as I could. And I said, I'm either going to pull this thing into the boat or it's going to break off. And you're only allowed an 8-foot gaff. And most of the boats, they're at 14, 12, 14, 16-foot gaff. So we're on an 8-foot gaff. And Aaron was draped over the rail with this 8-foot gaff, trying to reach down to get this fish, holding it by the very end of the gaff. And all of a sudden, I remember everything went slack. And I went, oh, Christ, it broke off. And then I hear all the screams back in the corner, and it stuck it. So it was one of those moments to do or die.
What an experience that would have been, watching your line just.
Bing. I didn't see it break.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't see it break, Justin. As I was reeling it up, I see these 2 strands that are just kind of floating out there away from the rest of the line. Oh my God, we're down to 2 strands. So it was a pretty amazing fish.
It's hard to fathom, guys and gals, if you're listening to this linen line thing. Michael says 70 pounds, but there's spots where the line, it's a plant.
Yeah.
So the plant, it's only going to give you what the plant's going to give you, guys. So there's spots where the line's 70 pounds. There's spots where the line's 40 pounds.
Or 10.
Yeah, and then it comes back again. So to think of this, it's quite an accomplishment. And this was pre what's going on right now with the bluefin tuna and in Southern California. This was pre this going on. So you can't really comprehend what happened on this trip, except that if you just delve into this and close your eyes and listen to Michael's story, it's pretty amazing.
It's not for everyone. I mean, fishing the vintage tackle and the old gear and the linen line, it certainly isn't for everyone, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of challenge. It's hard to find the line if you can even find it. I mean, they don't make it anymore. I think they're possibly making some. I think JD may have found a source where they're making linen now for us for the tuna club. But 10, 15 years ago, it was eBay, it was swap meets, it was garage sales. I mean, you're just scrounging through the dirt looking for a piece of line. You buy a spool on eBay, and you put it around your hands, you pull it, and it snaps like that. I mean, 70 pound line, boom, 5 pounds. So it's old. It's cotton. I mean, it's linen line, so it wears out. You got to dry it afterwards. You got to dry the line, or it's like taking a sweatshirt or a t-shirt that's gotten wet and leave it in a ball and put it in your closet. You open it up and it's all mildewed and rotten. So the line does the same thing. So you got to dry it. You can't spool it back onto your line, on your reel after you get it done. So there's a lot of challenges to it, but for me, I've caught as many fish as I ever need to catch in my life, and getting to challenge myself with the old gear and a wooden rod and an antique reel and linen line, and seeing if I could catch fish the way they did 100 years ago, like you were saying, Justin, to think back, to be able to do that today with the old gear and replicate what they did and how they did it 100 years ago, and then be able to accomplish that. Oh, it's just, the feelings are unbelievable in terms of satisfaction.
So you're saying that once that linen line gets wet, you have to dry it out? You can't reel it back onto itself?
Every day. I mean, you can fish it that day, but when you get done with the day, you got to dry the line at night. You can't just leave it on the reel.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's an ordeal.
So I wonder, how did they do that?
With these line winders, these wooden, they had these big spools with handles on them. So they would just, they take the line and they hook it around the spool and they spin it all off and they run the line back and forth. So there's a lot of air, and they dry the line out and then spool it back onto the reel in the morning and go fishing.
So that's how they did it way back when?
That's how they did it way back when.
And right now.
And they still do it today. Fortunately, I've got a long driveway. I've got a 150-foot driveway. So, and a tree at the end of it. And I put a big S hook or a big J hook in the top of my garage, on the roof of my garage, the eaves, and then ran another J hook up to the tree. And I just run back and forth between up and down my driveway until all this string gets spread out. And you can only let it dry in the sun for like an hour or so, or the sun will start to deteriorate. It's really, and guys do it. They put it in shrink wrap bags. They put it in their freezers. There are all sorts of things they do to try to take care of the line.
So what happens if you leave it wet?
It rots.
It disintegrates.
It just disintegrates. It's like a t-shirt, Justin. If you take one of your t-shirts and get it wet, roll it up in a ball, and just set it down and don't let it dry out, it's going to rot. That t-shirt's going to start to smell, and its fibers are going to get really weak. It'll still be a t-shirt, and the line's still a line, but there's no tensile strength left in it.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah, the fibers, and you can't bend it and tie a knot on it. You can't tie a knot. You've got to basically do like a Chinese puzzle type of a knot, where you're putting the two lines together and then wrapping it with wax linen
Oh.
Yeah.
So you have to put one of those little finger lock things, those Chinese finger lock things on your line, put one line through here, and lock it.
Well, in essence, they don't have finger locks, but you basically take the two strands, and then you take a wax linen, like dental floss, and you tie those two lines together with dental floss, and you loop it around and keep tying it. You do that 15 times, 17 times up to each side. So you run it up one side and you run it up the other side, and you basically created a finger puzzle between the two lines. Because when you take the fibers and you bend them at a 90 degree, you're going to break them.
Wow.
So they're 180 degrees. So you can't really tie a knot with them. You basically have to do these Chinese finger puzzles, wax linen attachments, which take forever. I mean, it's such an ordeal.
That is very interesting. We've made things so much simpler now.
So easy. It's
well.
I look at modern gear today, two-speed inspector, and I go,
you put a mono on there? What did they use back then? Did they use mono like we have now, or did they use?
No, they didn't have any mono back then. It was straight tie right to the linen.
So how did they tie it on the hook?
Basically, they would take a lot of guys would take a little strip of leather, put the leather through the eye of the hook, and then run the linen around the leather through the eye of the hook. And as it comes back over, and you've got it like, here's your main line, here's your tag line, and then you do that same knot that you did when you tied the leader onto the linen.
Wow.
So you have to go through the process twice. You do it on the hook end, and you also do it on the attachment end of the leader.
That is really cool.
Yeah, it is fun. It's fun.
Interesting. So that strength, the strength that you have to, I mean, you could barely put any tension at all on that line.
No, I fished 9 thread, which is basically 26, 27 pound string on 9 thread, which is, 25 pound string is pretty strong. Well, drop back, got bit in free spool. Never put the rod, the reel in gear. On end free spool, the fish freaked out, spun around, charged the boat. So we had a big loop in the line. As it hit, went behind the boat. We're in neutral. It turns around. It comes charging up toward the boat, and the line just breaks from the boat.
The pressure from the water.
No, the reel wasn't even geared, and the line broke. I think I went 0 for 9 that season on 9 thread.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, you know how hard it is to get bit up here on a marlin. And some days you get really lucky, but you're working hard to get your fish up here, and you go over the line because the line just wouldn't hold up. So that's part of the challenge.
How freaking cool is that?
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I don't even know. Probably mid 90s or maybe the early 2000s. I was working for the treasurer of the tuna club, and I was running his boat, and we had some inside information on the sea bass bite. And so we told a few of the guys to come along with us and park around us and get close as you want, because it's a sea bass bite, and it's pretty much, you can time when they're going to bite, and it's going to be wide open, and you need to be right here. And we were on these fish, and I'm telling you, Justin, it was so weird. Michael knows, but the fish bit, and you're allowed one, and they each got their one, and they put their poles down, and they put their poles down, and they quit fishing. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And they're like, no, we're done. Sea bass wide open. You look over the side, they're swimming around everywhere. It's as good as it could possibly be. They go, no, we're done. And I'm like, yeah, well, we're looking pretty good. We got 4 of us on here, and we got 4 fish all over 30 pounds. We're looking good for the tournament, and we would have won. Hands down, we would have won the tournament. But this one guy on another boat parked right next to us in the heat of the action, and it was pitch black dark. He grabbed his 3-weight. What is it, 3-weight?
3-thread.
3-thread. Okay, he didn't know he grabbed his 3-thread, but he grabbed his 3-thread rod.
That's 9 pounds of
and got a sea bass
on 3-thread.
On 3-thread, and one, because not only does it have to be on the thread, but it has to, I mean, the size doesn't matter when he dropped down on thread, because then it's a whole different level of, so we had 6 or 8 fish, and everybody caught, but this guy caught it on 3-thread, which is astronomical to think about, Justin. Astronomical.
It's like fishing with a thread. I mean, like with sewing thread.
With sewing thread.
It's crazy. You're lucky on 3-thread if you get 6 pounds of test out of it. It breaks at 6 pounds. You're lucky if it breaks at 6.
It was so incredible. And then I looked at the guys on the second day. We caught limits again at 12:01. We were allowed to start fishing again at 12:01, and it was crap weather. It was in the trough the whole night. The guys, they're like been fishing since they were little kids, and they're all in their 70s, 60s, and 70s. And one guy was 80. They were all seasick. But as soon as they turned the switch at 12:01, they dropped their lines in the water, all got bit again, all got their limits of fish, why they were puking. And then I was like, okay, now can I catch one? And they're all, yeah. And I go, okay, give me the heaviest line you got. And there was a rod with Dacron on there with 12-pound Dacron. And I was like, all right.
I'm having fun.
All right, this sucks. I could have put 100 fish on the boat, and for an hour, I think it was 47 minutes or something, I fought this fish with no drag at all. You just turn the handle as many times as you can.
How many minutes?
47.
Oh my God, a white sea bass?
Yeah, because you can't pull on them.
You can't pull on them.
Holy cow.
You get an inch of line at a time. You get an inch. These guys, every one of their fish took an hour.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. After we talked, Justin, when I met you on that podcast about a year ago. Yeah. You were telling me, I learned more about white sea bass fishing from you in that 1 hour than I'd learned in my entire life, and I could not wait. One of these days, you let me know when they're biting again. I'll bring the old gear out, and we'll do a charter. And
that would be really cool.
Put some of these sea bass on with the vintage gear. That'd be so much fun.
It's quite amazing.
I got to tell you a quick puke story.
Yeah.
When I was 9 years old, my mom, my father, and my grandfather took me on my first albacore trip down to San Diego, and I've been working on the Westerner up here at Half Day Boat all summer as a pinhead, and I was just jacked. I couldn't sleep the night before. I couldn't have been more excited. So we get out on my first all-night overnight albacore trip, and it's packed. There's like 80 people on the boat, and I'm 9 years old, and I'm and we get bit. on a jig stop, and I've got a Mitchell 305, Mitchell 300, and a spinning reel. And I'm in the corner and I get bit, and that reel starts spinning backwards, so it's spinning this way, so it's not going this way, it's going this way.
Mm-hmm.
And I start puking in the reel, and that reel is just spraying puke over the entire trail.
Oh my God.
And the guy next to me was just covered with puke. And I'm this little rat kid, just covered with puke. I got one of the only 2 albacore in the whole trip.
The reel and just flinging puke all over everybody. Phew, phew.
I just kept puking. The reel kept spinning. My fish is going, oh God, kid, get out of here. So,
that's pretty freaking cool.
that was pretty sick.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Do you have any of this stuff on the Inside Sport Fishing? Any of the original stuff that you did?
We
Tuna Club stuff?
I don't have much Tuna Club stuff or any Tuna Club stuff in the history on Inside Sport Fishing. That all came later.
Okay.
The history of sport fishing, but the Inside Sport Fishing series is seeing a revival now as well, with like Stingray TV and a couple of these other large companies are looking at wanting to add it to their library. So we've got over 300 episodes of the series that's going to hopefully be available across the board real soon for everyone. I've got I think 24 of the best versions on the historyofsportfishing.com that you can look at as well right now. But those are all the feature films, 45, 2 hours long. Yeah, it's coming. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to get out with you, Justin, when you were telling me about how it was last year when those fish were you just look at it and say, okay, that's the fish I want to catch. And no sea lions, no kelps. You said it was the best sea bass fishing you'd ever seen.
Yeah, it was pretty spectacular. You can literally pick one out at a time, whichever one. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked what Pete Grossbeck said about sea bass. They're vampire fish. You got to be a vampire to go fish those guys.
Oh yeah.
Nighttime stuff is brutal on the backside.
They're I think white sea bass are the laziest of all the bass. They're kind of a lazy fish. They're not real aggressive.
No, they're very mellow.
Kind of like do if they see something they like, they just come over and
suck it down, and then you go. Yeah.
And like you were talking about largemouth bass earlier, imagine if a largemouth bass got like 50 pounds.
Oh,
that would be freaking crazy.
I don't think you could stop it.
No.
I mean, they have
aggressive bass in general, except for white sea bass. Bass in general are very aggressive. I think that's why a lot of people like to fish for them. A really good game fish to have a hard bite. They put on a show. They flip out of the water. They do all this cool stuff that everyone wants to see.
Yep.
But largemouth bass, there's something about those.
I love topwater bass fishing.
Yeah.
There's just I love albacore and fishing the tuna as well, and I love fishing the wahoo and the poppers and stuff. But there's nothing like a topwater bass bite because there's the tranquility of the environment. There's no generator. There's generally no noise. You're in a beautiful environment, crystal clear. Everything's quiet, calm, and that fish explodes. That just becomes your whole world.
Yeah.
There's no wind. There's nothing to distract you. There's no waves.
Birds that's chirping away in the background. All of a sudden you hear splash.
Yeah. Or you're casting this way and you hear the splash behind you.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, they're just a great fish. They really are a spectacular fish, and they're from all the reports I've heard that they're as healthy today as they've ever been in the history of our country. That our bass lakes are doing really well in terms of supporting the species.
I remember when I was younger, I used to fish like Paris a lot, and we used to keep the bass, and everyone I knew used to keep them.
Yeah,
you don't hear about anybody keeping them anymore.
Nope, it's all catch and release now.
You can keep them. You can keep the 14 inches or bigger, but everyone catches and releases them. And I think that's probably why the comeback is.
Yeah, I think that's why part of the reason why they're so healthy. And you're seeing bigger and bigger fish. They're getting 20-pound fish now, which is an 18-pound fish.
Yeah. So talking about the largemouth bass in freshwater, now the calico bass in saltwater, they should be like cousins or something. Largemouth and calicos, because just throw some bait out in the water, throw some anchovies out in the water over near the kelp, and watch what happens. They go crazy.
Yep. Start
Flipping, making all kinds of commotion. Birds start coming over here like crazy. All kinds of stuff starts to happen.
Yep. I think calicos are definitely the largemouth of the salt species.
Yeah. And they're just spectacular to watch. If you don't even throw your line in the water, just throw a bait out there and watch them chase it around. And one bass chasing a bait is going to get like 50 bass chasing a bait. And then they're all chasing it together, and it's going as fast as it can to get away from them. There's nothing more exciting. It's like fishing them on the surface iron, and there's 10 bass chasing your surface iron when you're winding it nice and slow. It's pretty spectacular.
Yep. They're great fish. I love them.
Hey, Jeff is asking a question. You used to have a Inside Sport Fishing t-shirt. You still got any of those left for sale?
No, we don't. We haven't printed t-shirts in a long time. But maybe if we get this, if the series starts to get launched the way we think it's going to, then we can maybe bring back some retro shirts and get those back online.
Yeah, you ought to do it the way we do it, Printify, and you don't have to keep any stock, and they take care of all your shit, and they just send it out to people, and you don't do anything.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it nowadays, Michael. For me and you.
Print on demand.
Print it on demand and send it out on demand. You don't have to do nothing.
Yeah, I like that part.
Yes, me too. Don't do nothing. I like that. Hey, John, how are you today? Nice to see you on here. Hopefully you can join with me tomorrow. I'm hoping to have you on here tomorrow. Gang, is there anything that you want to know from Michael or Justin or I right now? You can feel free to call us. Send in a text message. Let us know real quick, or we're going to wrap the show up. We've already gone an hour. If there's anything that anybody wants to know, let me know.
Yeah, they both hit artificials, big ones. Yep.
They do. They love artificials. Well, Michael and Justin, thank you very much for being on the show today with me. I really appreciate you. And I'm glad to hear that that there's a company out there that wants to distribute this film for you, because it's something people need to see.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have found them. I was introduced to them, and they've been around for a long time, a new company, but the two owners have been around forever, and they're outdoor enthusiasts. They both love to fish, and they specialize in outdoor documentary films. So they picked up the history of sport fishing, and they also picked up the making of the endless summer, which I thought was a perfect marriage.
Absolutely. And you guys can get a hold of this docuseries, the 12-part docuseries, by downloading this QR code right here, and you can have it all for yourself, and you don't have to wait for it to come out streaming, right, Michael?
Yep. It's streaming right now, and we got it down to $4.99. So, I mean, you sign up for $4.99, you can watch it as many times as long as you want on a monthly basis.
I don't
There
know
you go.
if you guys have any more time, but I know people love hearing your answers and your stories, Michael.
Oh, thanks.
Question if you all want to take it. This could be a little long, though.
Yeah, it's okay. We don't have anything to do today.
So,
do you have anything to do today?
Oh, no.
Okay.
So, Michael being Michael Folks, the one and only, you have all this knowledge of stuff that's happened way back when and originations of fishing and so on and so on. What were the original fishing poles, the actual rods made of, and what were the eyes made of? How did they make the eyes back then? I'm sure they don't use Fuji eyes or anything like that, but what were they actually made of, and how did they put them on the rod?
Well, the original rods were all wooden. You know, a hickory was a real popular strain of wood. They loved hickory rods because there was flexibility, but you wanted to harvest them in the winter. There's all sorts of things that they figured out, and And the original lines were horsehair. So they wove the tail of, and stallions, the hair off a tail of a stallion was considered the best. And then a gelding, and then a mare. So they had the hair had certain qualities that they liked. So they used hickory sticks, woven horsehair line, and then the first guides were basically just O-rings that they would wrap with threads and just sort of wrap basically like we kind of do today, but without the feet. They didn't come up with the feet on the guides until later, but they started off with just O-rings, and they just wrapped that O-ring around the rod, and they only had like two,
only two O-rings.
Yeah, two O-rings, one in the middle and one at the end. So but it was just basically wooden sticks, and in the beginning they would just tie the lines to the sticks. It was like basically bobber fishing.
So it was hickory wood, and you said they collected it in the winter or something?
They like to harvest in the winter. And I don't know why that is, but I guess it was because whatever, I have no idea. But they like to harvest the hickory wood in the winter. And then they basically take the long cuts, and then they get to the tips and then work the tips down. So, and then bamboo became real popular when they opened up the trade with Japan. That's when we first got bamboo rods, when they started importing bamboo from Japan.
Calcutta's, right?
It was actually it wasn't Calcutta. It was a different bamboo, and I can't remember, Dave, the name of it. But an interesting thing, Justin, is that bamboo isn't a tree; it's a grass. And it grows 120 feet tall, but they consider it a grass.
So while you're talking, I'm going to send Dave a picture of bamboo in Costa Rica.
Okay.
It'll blow your mind.
Okay.
This is crazy, crazy stuff. But yeah, go ahead. So when did they switch over from the hickory to bamboo? Do you know approximately when?
Oh, boy, I want to say in the late 1800s. They were.
Hi, buddy.
I can't remember the dates. I apologize, but I think it was the late 1800s when bamboo started to come into play, and then it just evolved from there. And it's having a resurgence right now, especially in the fly rod industry. Bamboo, custom built bamboo rods are finding a little bit of a comeback. People really like the way they feel.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was that the same time that they had on the reels, they had that leather strap on there?
Well, the fly reels never had a drag. It was all done by your hand in the beginning, and there was 1-to-1 ratio. So I don't know when they started putting drags into fly reels. It was recently. I'd say maybe in the last 40 years that they actually started to incorporate some drags. Loomis was doing it. Orvis was doing it. I think Orvis was the first one to put a drag into a fly reel. I'm not positive. Don't quote me on it. But, yeah, it's yeah.
Senor Deal wanted to know, Michael, did you have a show called Fish On? No, the Fish On show was a different show. You bought a shirt.
I did a Fish On. I did Fish On for one season.
Okay.
I did 24 episodes with Mike Gill and Dan Hernandez. I met with them up in LA. They invited me on a shoot. We went to Mexico. Had a good 3 days down there filming. And then I did a couple more episodes for them up here, and then ended up doing the rest of the season on my own under the name of Fish On. And that was one season of Fish On. So really the first year of Inside Sport Fishing was Fish On. So he was right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So in a minute, Dave's going to put a picture up here.
I see all that.
Blow your mind.
Tyler.
Did you see it, Dave?
No, I'm talking to Tyler at the same time. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. This
Hold
is in
on.
Costa Rica.
I'll try to get that on for you right now.
And it's the bamboo. Just imagine when you see this picture fishing with one of these. It would be pretty crazy. So So I see these. I think it was on Inside Sport Fishing. I've seen this too because I used to watch Inside Sport Fishing every weekend when I was younger, and I think it was on there I seen where they were doing the commercial things where they stick those sticks over with the line and just fling the tuna over and they go back and forth, they and they use those little fly things. I never knew until recently, within the last few years, that they had the hooks. They weren't even real full hooks either. They were just like half cut off hooks where they just hooked them and flung them over and they're like little flies.
All barbless hooks.
Yeah.
And it's called lift pole fishing is what it's called.
What were those poles made out of?
Calcutta. Those are all Calcutta bamboo.
So those are bamboo also.
Yep. And it was straight tied to the tip of the rod. And if they had two rods that they put together, they'd match the rods, and it was called they tied together with what they call the theatus. So they could wrap 2, 3, or 4 guys. If the fish started out small and they kept getting bigger and bigger, they'd go from a 1 rod to a 2 rod to a 3 to a 4 pole lift.
Wow.
And have 4 men tied to the same theata, and then the line would go down to the hook, and 4 guys would pull in those fish. And that tribute to tuna is just spectacular. Oh my God!
Look at that!
Oh my God!
That's Costa Rica.
That's a grass.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just imagine fishing with one of those, or making a gap out of one of those.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's why they just use the tips. And they only use the tips because the tips are up on the top of the tree there, on the top of the blade of grass, if you will. And the wind would always be blowing it. So the tips were always flexible. And it would bend in any direction. And these are that's a sample of what they call a pick, a tuna pick.
Tuna pick.
Tuna pick.
Fish pick.
Yep.
That is cool.
Just a lead head with feathers, and they used to use cat gut to
What
string
kind
it.
of line are they using to fling those? Like 100-pound or something?
Oh,
Wire.
Wire to the hook, but then I don't know what the line was. And then this is one that hasn't been wrapped yet. So
Next time Tommy Gomes comes on here, we'll ask him. Tommy Gomes has a little bit of history about it.
Gives you a good sample of how the hook's not fully rounded. No barbs.
They don't do that kind of fishing anymore, do they?
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, Hawaii. There's a lot of guys in Hawaii that are still lift poling.
Hawaii, huh?
Hawaii, and then there's I think a couple of guys are doing albacore up off Morro Bay with lift poles still. Occasionally, when the fish are schooling up.
And we have Sean Tobridge on here all the time from the Legends, and he talks about the fishing up there is so good right now. 40 to 50 albacore per rod per 6 people.
Jeez.
Catching 300 fish a day.
What's the limit? Is that
no limit?
what?
No limit in
the commercial.
No limit in Oregon.
Seriously.
Yep. No limit.
It's a free state. What can you say?
Yeah. They got no limit. Just like, hey, forever and ever right here in beautiful California, there was no limit on albacore either. You remember?
I remember when they instituted the 10 fish limit.
Yep. There was no limit on albacore. It was the craziest thing. You'd look on the fishing game
Report.
regulations, and they would show the fish that had no limit. It was on that bonita. It would be on the bonita. I remember it. And we would look at it and go, wow, when we were little kids, we're like, wow, there's no limit on albacore. I could catch as many as I want. Wow. That was so cool.
Do you remember seeing your first albacore?
Yeah. And I thought it was the weirdest fish I'd ever seen. I just couldn't even believe it. There's a little fish that's got wings.
Yeah, with those big wings.
They would come through the corner and they would just glide.
Just gliding right through the corner. And I was amazed at that. My first albacore was on a probably a number 6 hook. And I couldn't believe a hook this big would catch a fish this big. I mean, I'm just going, my God, how can a hook this tiny catch a fish this big?
And I remember being on the bait tank when we would go into these stops and everybody would stand there and ask you for a hook bait.
Yep.
And you'd be like, okay, guys, leave me alone. Just fish. You could take 2 eyeballs and a wiggle and put it on your hook and get bit. It was just amazing. There was just straight pinheads. We had little tiny bait this big is what we had for bait.
And once in a while, you get a 3-inch hook bait.
Yeah, once in a while.
Once in a while. I used to, when I was fishing albacore, I used to find a hook bait, and I'd put it in the trough, in one of the bait wells, and I'd sit there with my rod in hand and my bait in my hand in the tank, holding, keeping that fish in the water until we got bit for like hours.
That was me too.
Really, you would find your hook bait. And
I would hook it and hold it in the tank until someone got bit on
Exactly.
the troll. As soon as they got bit on the troll, throwing it out in the water.
Exactly. Yeah. But I would sit there for hours with my hand in the tank, guarding that one bait, until we got bit. Yeah. But you get hooked up if you had a good bait. If you had hook bait, that's why everybody was bugging you, Dave, for hook baits.
Oh yeah, and I remember sitting on the bait tank for hours at a time and just weeding through the bait and putting hook baits in all the troughs for everybody. So you would at least for 5 seconds, you would not be begged for a hook bait. You would spend the whole 2 or 3 hours trolling and setting on the bait tank and picking through the bait, trying to get all the hook baits out so that you'd have hook bait in the troughs when you went into the next stop.
Yeah.
And they would eat it up just like that. But yeah, I remember the albacore in the corner, coming through the corner, and it was just the most coolest thing because when they would turn, they would put their wings out to turn. And it was such a bitchin' thing. And then to think that we did it for so long at such a high level, and to think that that fish wasn't going to be here forever, that is just crazy, crazy talk. But things happen for a reason. And then we were replaced by the bluefin that we'd never seen before. We'd never seen this bluefin.
Not in 100 years.
And
so
look what changed this year. This year we have millions of baby
bluefin.
There's something else that happened yesterday. So we were on a kelp patty. Well, we weren't on a kelp patty. We drove by a kelp patty, and I slowed down because I seen a couple splashes. There was literally 10-inch bluefin.
Seriously?
Jumping around the kelp patty.
Really?
The bird was sitting there plucking off little tiny anchovy. The bird was sitting on top of the kelp patty, the tern, just picking off the bait as they would jump in the air, as the literally 10-inch bluefin jumping out. Boom, boom,
I love hearing that.
Yeah, exactly. The bluefin are spawning here.
Yeah. The little ones are everywhere right now. They're everywhere.
That is such good news.
That is super cool.
Really cool. That's some of the best stuff I've heard in a long time.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was in a temperature break where all the kelp patties line up in that temperature break. Yeah, it was just little baby bluefin everywhere. Little babies. Really cool.
And to think everybody thinks they know. Nobody knows. Nobody really knows what's going on out there.
I do. I got a 10-foot tape measure.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'll tell you exactly what's going on.
You're gonna start diving on the kelp patty with 10-foot tape measure. Fish, stop. Let me see how many you are. Yeah, we can fit in between here.
We're gonna count you. Fucking moron.
We're gonna count you really quick so we can get the right survey on you guys. It's the craziest thing I've ever even heard of. The guy even showed us his tape measure. It's like a regular tape measure from Home Depot.
That's some high-tech lawmaking right there.
Yeah, right. And just imagine he's getting paid for that too. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But I remember back before there was all these websites that you can go on for fishing and find out what the fishing was.
Right.
We used to always look at, well, we didn't have phones either. I had a pager, but I would look at a magazine. I think it was Western News or something, and I would look on the front cover, and there'd always be a picture of someone holding an albacore, and I was like, oh, it's time to go albacore fishing. And then you would go on to the very back, and there'd be all the reports of everyone and what they're catching, and I don't know. I thought that was really cool. I think I actually have one somewhere.
I know Western Outdoor News was really the go-to source before, 1962 and the LA Times. I subscribed to the LA Times just to get that little teeny report on the back of the sports page.
That's what it was. Oh, you're bringing back memories now.
The LA Times.
I was in school, and I would go to the newspaper stand. Do they even have those anymore? The newspaper stands where you can put like a quarter in or something, you get a newspaper?
Yeah.
So you would put like, I don't know.
Yeah, could you imagine today?
And lift it up, and you'd pull out the paper, and on the very back, it was the LA Times. On the very back, there'd be your fishing report. And I was like,
very back of the sports page. Every year, every day, there'd be a fish report.
It would tell you the piers. It would tell you Huntington Pier, San Clemente Pier, what's going on inshore, what's going on offshore, everything.
Yeah, all the dock totals.
Yeah.
23 anglers, 7 boats, 140 albacore.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's just, that was it. And if it got to 1-to-1, if there was, 1 fish per angler, it was time to go.
Yeah.
And then Phil Freeman came on in 1986, 87 with
I think it was earlier than that, wasn't it?
I think he says 87 or
Really?
86. And he started putting that together for us.
Yep.
And it was just,
that was the game changer for me. I was running a charter boat down in San Diego at the time, and I was a greenhorn, didn't know anybody, and I was a 6-back guy, so sport boats didn't want to talk to me, and I didn't know any of the charter guys because I was new, and it was 976 tuna on the phone at the dock before we'd leave the dock, so I knew where to go fish. So I think I told Phil he was my gyros back in the day.
right.
Yeah, Tyler is 100% correct. It's it seems like no one really cares unless the giant bluefin are biting.
Yep.
Which is really weird. I understand. I can relate to it. Well, for one thing, I don't like fishing for bluefin in the first place. That's just me.
They're hard.
Yeah.
They're a pain in the ass.
And I can understand why people pay so much money to go after these big animals, because it's not an animal or a fish that you're going to go after and get a whole bunch of them. You're only allowed 2 for one thing, but if you can get 1, that's an amazing day.
Yep.
Especially one good-sized one. It's an amazing day for you. Look at all these people that pay $10,000, $20,000 to go elk hunting or deer hunting. Like, really? It's just an elk or deer. Why would you pay that? Well, it's big game hunting. So that's exactly what the bluefin are, is big game hunting, and all these people want to be big game fishermen instead of just being a fisherman and catching what we have here. Because you never know. Next year, they may not be here. You never know. It could be another season again.
Like you said, there's nothing really in the world like getting your ass kicked by a big fish. I mean, these bluefin hurt you. I mean, physically, they'll bring you to your knees. And so I think that's part of the challenge. And I think once you've done that once or twice, you go, time out. I'm done. Give me the 30-pounders on a 20-pound string outfit. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
To me, it's all about the bite. Dave said it. Dave opens the entire history of sport fishing series talking about his earliest memories.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he talks about it being the bite. That fishing comes down to one moment, and that's the presentation of the bait and then the bite. After that, I don't care. I'll hand the rod off. I don't care. I just want to get the bite.
Yeah.
You
want the bite
so elegantly that and Frank Wilprest, he comes back and supports exactly what you said. Talks about the bite, the presentation, and the guys in Florida are talking about the same thing on the tarpon. It's all about the bite.
Yeah.
That to me is the essence of the whole sport, is that moment when you get that big game or trout or whatever it is, when you get that fish to commit and eat a bait, that's what it's all about.
That line coming off your reel.
Yeah.
That's what gets your heart pumping and reeling it in. I mean, as you're reeling in a big old bluefin, 5 minutes later, like, what did I do?
Exactly.
What's going to go on now? I'm tired.
You're in a battle.
Yeah.
And especially if these guys are fishing at stand-up. If they're fishing at,
oh yeah,
like a sportsman, instead of leaving the rod on the rail, I mean, or landing on the rail. I'm sorry. I mean, if you want to catch your meat, do whatever you have to do. Put it in the rod holder, put the electric winder on it. I don't give, if you're out there fishing to fill the freezer, do whatever you need to do. But if you're out there as a sportsman, give yourself the opportunity to fish it the right way.
Yeah.
I mean, the satisfaction, it's harder. There's no question. I mean, land the rod on the rail, let the boat roll up and wind down when it rolls the other way. That's a piece of cake. You can do that all day long. But if you're standing there and actually pulling that fish to the boat, that's a whole different world.
Whole different story right there.
Whole different story. And to me, that's
what's great about those bait feeder reels too. Is you can hearing the bite is one thing. It makes you start going really good, and then seeing the bite is another, right?
Yep.
Those bait feeder reels, I mean, it gets everybody on their toes when that line starts to rip off, because you can hear it. It has that little click to it. That winds up, and they're like, oh!
Yep.
And we have to stop people, too, sometimes, because it's so exciting. Your adrenaline, I mean, it's crazy how, like, endorphins or whatever in your blood, your body, just boom, instantly. And the first thing you do, as soon as it starts saying, and you yank and you pull it out of its mouth, and it's easy for us to tell people, but it's hard for them to understand. You have to wait and let it bite longer.
In the moment. It's that moment, like you said, it's that adrenaline rush that just hits you like that. And then your basic instincts go into play, and it overrides everything you've been telling yourself the whole time. Oh, what happened? I blew it.
In your brain, you're thinking too, okay, I gotta wait. No, I can't. Okay. And 5 seconds is actually, you count 1, 5. Okay, good.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. It's like you used to say, Dave, always count to 5, right?
Yeah. Always count to 5.
Yep.
It's the quickest 5 seconds in sports too, boy.
Oh,
you tell people count to 5 and they go 5. No, you left out the 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're just 5. No. Start over again.
Yep.
Yeah.
5. No. Start over again. Come on. But John.
Yeah, Tyler, the fish are biting.
Bill asked a question here a while back ago, and I'm sorry, we've been going and going. He wants to know, can you put your Go ID number on all 10 buoys? No, you cannot.
No.
You can put it on 5, and then the other 5 have to have another Go ID number. And that's where it gets really strange, because you can have, like, just in charter boats, the captain can have 5 and the deckhand ID number can be on it. But when you got different people coming out every day, you got to keep changing the Go ID numbers on the buoy. It's crazy. How do you get around it, Justin?
Well, I do everything legit because I don't like those tickets.
Right. So how do you do it?
So it used to, I'll get to how I do it in a minute, but it used to be where you didn't need a Go ID. And then they made the law where you needed a Go ID, and it needs to be everybody on the boat that has a card needs a Go ID on it, which got out of hand because all the charter boat guys and everyone else would have to put 1,400 Go IDs on these things, and we'd write them so small. Fishing game got kind of tired of trying to read all these things. I think they got more frustrated. So recently, within about 2 years now, they made it to where you can have one Go ID on your set of lobster nets or on your buoys. One set is 5. So not talking about me, because I run charters, commercial. Not talking about me. So a normal person going out there, you're allowed 5 buoys with one Go ID. So if you have 10 nets on the boat and there's 2 people, you need one set of 5 for you and one set of 5 for the other. Now, which ones you pull up, it really doesn't matter. As long as you have your Go IDs on there, it's fine. So for commercial guys, we need our fishing game number on there, and we can put them on all of them.
Right.
So.
Okay, so that's how you get around it.
Yeah.
Instead of switching them out all the time, you put your fishing game number. I got it. Okay.
I think I have it right here, actually. One of them. I can show you. An example of a Go ID and that.
And John, it's perfect, understandable. Everybody wants to catch a giant catfish. Everybody wants to catch a giant tuna. I personally want to catch a whole bunch of small fish.
Me too.
That's what I want to catch.
Yeah.
And I know you're the same way I am, John. You just want to catch some fish. If a big one bites your hook, we'll catch the big one. If a small one bites our hook, we'll be happy as hell to catch the small one. It's all like Michael kept saying about me. It's all about the bite. It's just, and if the fish is too big, I'm handing off the rod. I got no problem with it, bro.
I've been there, done that. Here you go. Have a nice battle.
Exactly.
Have a great time.
I'll stand there with the gaff. I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Have fun.
Keep pulling.
So this is one of my buoys that has my my commercial number on it. So what you'll do is on the buoy, on 5 of them, you'll just put your Go ID wherever you want on here. And what I like to do is spray it with a clear coat with some paint, because if you don't, what'll happen is when this goes in the water after about your second time, your number will start fading. The other thing I like to do is I like to think that people are honest. And if I ever lost one, someone would call me and say, hey, I got your net, or I found your buoy.
Oh,
So
that'll happen.
I like to put my phone number on the end of it as well. So that's what I do. That's all.
Right.
What are you laughing at, Hanson?
Oh, about the phone number. I would call and just say, hey, thanks a lot. I got your hoop net.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
thanks for the net. Where are you fishing?
Dave would never call it anyways. He would throw the buoy over, keep the hoop net, and say, thank you.
Yep.
I was a bad boy for a very long time, but I'm not a bad boy anymore.
Nope.
But there was a time, but I'm just kidding.
There's too many people watching now. Dave can't be bad.
Right. I couldn't even imagine these fishing game guys coming up to the boat now going, hey, is Dave there? Hey, Dave watching? I mean,
they watch every day.
I know.
Yeah, so, and we thank you. And they actually said it themselves. They thank us for teaching people the right way. So, yeah.
Well, it's like you said, we act the way we're taught.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
We evolve as anglers or as human beings the way we're shown or taught, or the way we observe other people doing it. They don't even know we're watching them, but that's how we absorb our character, our personality.
And to think I lived long enough that I have to set an example now.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to tell you another story, Justin. When Todd and I, we were catching calico bass really good at this spot in Laguna, and we called up Michael. He was like looking for content, and we're like, hey, come film with us. We got this spot. The calicos are biting wide open. He's all, when are you going? Right now. Okay, I'm coming. He comes down, and Mike, back in those days, I had a logo that was effing them up. Effing them up. That was my logo. And it was a thresher shark. And on the tail was effing them up. And it would say fun up. Effing them up. And
it was fully spelled out.
Yes. Fully.
Yeah. This wasn't the ethonym. It was all 4 letters.
Yeah, fun up. And Michael Folks is all, listen, we can film this, but you got to turn your shirt back inside out. So one of the first shows I ever was on with Michael, I got my shirt inside out, but the bass were biting wide open. Another time, Michael was going through his problem with the cancer, and he sent Justin out on the boat to film, and we did a 3-day trip on the Ocean Odyssey. Yep. And it was a Shimano trip, and I'm the only guy that doesn't have any Shimano. I got 3 rods. They're all Okuma, 3 rods, 3 reels. And we're on this 4-day trip on the Ocean Odyssey I got invited on. And Michael was so bummed because it took him like 100 hours to edit.
around all your gear, and you were catching fish like it was going out of. You were catching fish off. You went in and took a shower, and then went up on the top deck, and we're casting off the top deck and pulling fish up off the top deck.
That's funny.
It was pretty spectacular. It was
What
pretty
was
cool.
Tyler, what was your question?
What?
Tyler said he had a question.
I don't know.
We'll see in a minute. That's pretty cool. So it's funny you're saying that story. It reminded me a few weeks ago, we were at Catalina on the Viking, and Matt was up on the top deck. It was like wide open. Every bait was a fish deal. Every single bait was a fish. It wasn't a bite. It was a fish. So Matt was up on the top deck, and he was casting over everybody, just reeling them up. Hey, get this off my line. Bait me another one.
That's what Dave was doing. All these guys are on the rail, and he's pulling fish up. Right, he's bouncing fish right over their heads.
But these were tuna.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yes, they were tuna. It was pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
But it was pretty fun.
That was a couple of 100 fish stops, I think, on that trip.
No, we got 550 fish. We started out at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we were on our way home at like 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. 550 yellowfin tuna.
Limits.
I think there was 12 or 14 guys. We caught so many stupid fish, we didn't even know what to do with them. We filled their fish hold up.
Wow.
It was incredible. We ended our 4-day trip a day and a half ahead of time. It just took all that time to get down there. We got down there to the zone, and we were the only boat. This was like in December, and he threw the jigs out at 5 o'clock in the morning or something. We got bit in the dark. I remember all 4 rods. I came running out, and I was just like, huh? What's going on? I just woke up, and it's like full speed, just as fast as, and then that was it. 9:30 in the morning, we're on our way home. We're like, dude, we can't catch another fish. We can't catch another stinking fish. And the day before, we caught all the yellowtail and Dorado we wanted. So it was wild.
Yeah, it's been a weird year this year. Every year is different. You know, some years it's going to be, you're going to go out there and have a million fish one place and not as many somewhere else. But if you think about it, San Diego hasn't seen a lot of kelp petty action.
I think that's been because of the warm water.
Is it the warm water?
That's what I was thinking. I don't know. I mean, it seems like when there's cold water, there's a lot more kelps. I don't know. Maybe it's just I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not a marine guy. So I'm a marine biologist. I have no clue.
Yeah, we were just talking about that the other day on the boat. We're like, man, San Diego really hasn't seen
a lot of patty fish.
Yeah, either yellowtail, Dorado, yellowfin tuna. I mean, yeah, some have come up here, but not in the big numbers.
Like fish in the bush.
Yeah. And then you hear about the numbers down south further, and there's a ton of them. So it's what's keeping them back? Is it, I don't know, for me, a million questions go through my head, like currents, is it this? Water temperature, is it that?
Bait and water temperatures would be the two things. Yeah, water temperature determines the bait, and the bait determines the fish.
Yeah.
So.
And like up here, up in Long Beach, in the mid-channel between Long Beach, Newport, and Catalina, and out to San Clemente, there's bait everywhere. Like there is bait, all the bait you've ever wanted in your whole life. There's just bait. What was your
sea temp yesterday? You
remember? So we started out coming out at 69.8.
Okay.
And then it jumped up right before mid-channel to 72.8. And then it went about maybe 5 to 7 miles from Catalina. It went to 73.9. Oof. And then right on the west end, it turned to 74.1. And then right on the other side, it dropped down to 69.
Really? On the other side of the island?
Quick. Right on the drop off on the other side?
Yeah.
Right there.
From 75 to 69.
69. Boom. Done. And then as we went further out, towards like San Nicolas Island, Santa Barbara Island, it was 70 to 72. just fluctuating all over the place. So, and we noticed that all the bait was on the temperature breaks on the line. You know how you're driving and you see the line of the temperature break, the patties and stuff and all the crap
right down the line.
All the bait was right there, always.
It's almost like a barrier, a wall. They swim into it, and there's a 2-degree temperature break, or even a 0.5 degree temperature break, and that'll a lot of time stop them and turn them.
Yeah, it's really, really strange. But there's a lot of bait. There's bait balls everywhere, as far as you can see. Bait. A lot of dolphins yesterday. Tons and tons everywhere we went. Where it's not all together, but separate pods everywhere. Dolphins. Tons of dolphins.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Massive schools too, huh?
Yeah.
What are they doing? Do you know what they're doing when they all of a sudden you see a whole line of them, like as far as you can see, greyhounding away?
They're swimming.
Yeah, but a whole line. Thanks.
Yeah, what are they doing?
I don't know. That's what I was asking you. I mean, I've seen
a big straight line.
A whole line of them, and they're greyhounding. They're not feeding. They're just hauling ass.
Yeah.
But as far as you can see, a straight line of dolphin moving. And then somebody said they have no hierarchy in terms of their schools. That it's not like an alpha male or an alpha dolphin. And all of a sudden, the entire school will just turn and go in a different direction.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. They're just an amazing species.
So one thing we seen yesterday, which was really, really cool, is we were way out there and we seen the pod of dolphin, and they all started doing that all at one time, as fast as they can. I mean, like 900 miles an hour. They all in the same direction. I'm like, what the heck is chasing them? Something crazy's going on.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what that kind of behavior is, but it's amazing to watch because it's as far as you can see. The entire school just comes out of the water and starts hauling ass.
Hauling butt.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. It's nuts.
So
what I used to always do is that's when you get in front of them and throw some bait, because that means that there's some tuna on them. But what they do when there's nothing on them and they do that, I have no idea.
Neither.
They're just
like when the tuna are out there and they're doing that, then you're in them.
Yep.
Well, I am going to get off of here, guys. I have
been on for a while.
Yeah, we've been on here for a while. I got a lot of stuff to do to get ready to go to California tomorrow. War Heroes on water. Tomorrow we're going to have John from River Cats Tackle on here talking fishing with Captain Dave Hansen, and we'll see you next Tuesday, Michael.
Yep. And hope both of you guys have a great weekend up there with the War Heroes.
It should be fun, and we'll be with the War Heroes on Tuesday. We'll have them on the show here with us, Michael. So you'll be on here and you'll be able to talk to them and see what's going on. We'll take a break in the action and jump in with the War Heroes, and Justin and everybody will be a part of it.
Right on.
Maybe I'll go live if it's all right.
Yeah, we can go live fishing. Absolutely. We're both going to go live all day, both days.
Very cool.
And if those of you watching haven't seen a Rizzo's dolphin, I highly recommend it.
Aren't they beautiful?
Beautiful dolphins.
They're just amazing.
We could go for another hour talking about Rizzo's dolphins.
Yep.
So they're just beautiful.
Yep. I love them. They're so majestic. All right, David, thank you for having me on. Justin, it was great to see you again.
You too.
You guys have a great weekend up there with the Heroes of the Water.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching today, and we'll see you tomorrow.